Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered what people from different countries might ask about Japan? I often think about that too. Japan is a country that sparks curiosity all over the world, and today I'm diving into some of those questions. This time I asked ChatGPT to imagine itself as people from various countries and create 30 fictional yet intriguing questions. While these questions are fictional, they reflect the kinds of things people might genuinely be curious about. And since it's winter in Hokkaido, I'll be answering these questions while walking through its beautiful snowy landscape. So enjoy the winter scenery as we dive into this fun Q&A. First question comes from an Icelander. Question: do Japanese people ever use hot springs to cook food like we do, with geysers? I didn't know Icelanders use geysers for cooking. How does that work? Are these specific dishes you make this way? In Japan, yes, hot springs are used for cooking. Onsen tamago, hot spring eggs are gently cooked in hot spring water, resulting in a creamy texture. In places like Beppu, you can also experience jigokumushi, kettle steaming, where vegetables and seafood are steamed using hot spring steam. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, if you watch this video until the end, I believe you'll not only get to know a little more about Japanese culture, but also discover some unexpected insights along the way. I've also included some special moments, like beautiful snowy landscapes and even swans flying by. I hope you enjoy these small surprises as we move on to the next question. Question 2 comes from an Arab. Question: What's the strangest vending machine item you've ever seen in Japan? Vending machines are everywhere in Japan, but I wonder, are they as common in Arabic-speaking countries? What kind of items do your vending machines sell? In Japan, I happened to come across a vending machine today that sells diapers and baby wipes. Unfortunately, it was out of service at the moment, but it was the first time I'd ever seen something like that. Question 3 comes from an Italian. What do Japanese people think of pizza? Do you have a unique Japanese version? Japanese people love pizza so much. We have unique versions like teriyaki chicken or seafood pizza, which are pretty different from the Italian original. I'd like to know what you think if you tried them. Question 4 comes from an Indonesian. What do Japanese people think of tropical fruits like durian or mangosteen? I know durian is known as a strong-smelling and challenging fruit, but I've never tried it. As for mangosteen, I looked it up and found that it's sold in some places in Japan, but it's the first time I've heard of this fruit. How is durian most commonly eaten in Indonesia? Question 5 comes from Pakistan. Do Japanese people have any spicy snacks? In Pakistan, we love spicy snacks like samosas and spicy nuts. What's the spiciest snack in Japan? In Japan, spicy snacks aren't as common as sweet ones, but we do have spicy rice crackers or chips flavored with wasabi or chili. I wonder, do you prefer mild or extra spicy snacks? Question 6 comes from a Dutch person. What's the best way to enjoy tulips in Japan? Tulips are a big part of Dutch culture, but I wonder, how popular are they in Japan? Are there tulip festivals? Japan has beautiful tulip gardens, especially in places like Hokkaido. There are even festivals celebrating tulips in spring. I'm curious, do you have a favorite tulip color or variety? Question number 7 comes from a Paraguayan. How do Japanese people keep cool in the summer? In Paraguay, we drink tereré, cold herbal tea, to stay cool. What's your favorite way to cool off in Japan? In Japan, we often eat shaved ice with sweet syrup or carry portable fans. Here in Hokkaido, summers have been getting hotter due to the effect of global warming. The air conditioner ownership rate has risen from around 20 to 30% a decade ago to 40 to 50% now, and people are increasingly wondering how to stay cool during the summer. Question 8 comes from Swede. Do Japanese people enjoy snowy activities like Swedes do? In Sweden, we love skiing, sledding, and even building snow saunas. What's the most fun snowy activity in Japan? In Japan, skiing and snowboarding are very popular, especially in Hokkaido and Nagano. Building snowmen is also a classic. Do you rarely make saunas out of snow in Sweden? Question 9 comes from a Spaniard. What's the Japanese equivalent of tapas? Tapas are a huge part of Spanish food culture. Do you have small dishes you share while drinking? Japanese izakayas serve small plates like sashimi, edamame, or grilled skewers called yakitori. I'd like to know what your favorite tapa is. Question 10 comes from Thai. What do Japanese people think about eating insects as food? In Thailand, eating insects like fried crickets or silkworms is quite common. Have you ever tried eating insects in Japan? I've heard that there are vending machines in Japan selling edible insects, but I've never seen one myself. What's the most popular insect snack in Thailand? Question 11 comes from a Serbian. Do Japanese people have family traditions similar to Serbian slava? In Serbia, we celebrate slava to honor family saints. What kind of family traditions are common in Japan? In Japan, we have family traditions like celebrating the New Year with special meals called osechi. How do you prepare for slava in Serbia? Question 12 comes from a Filipino. How do Japanese people celebrate Christmas? In the Philippines, Christmas is a huge celebration with lots of food and decorations. What's Christmas like in Japan? In Japan, Christmas is seen more as a romantic day where people tend to spend time with their partners rather than family. It's also common to see long lines at KFC during this time. For those without a partner, some spend the day with family or have parties with friends. However, we must not forget that many people simply spend the day as usual without any special plans. Question 13 comes from a German. Do Japanese people enjoy beer as much as Germans do? In Germany, beer is a big part of our country. What's the most popular type of beer in Japan? Beer is also very popular in Japan, especially during summer festivals. Brands like Asahi and Sapporo are well loved. Do you have a favorite beer in Germany? Question 14 comes from a Polish person. What do Japanese people think about fermented foods like pickles or sauerkraut? In Poland, fermented foods are a big part of our diet. Are there any traditional fermented foods in Japan? In Japan, we have many fermented foods like miso, soy sauce, and pickled vegetables called tsukemono. I'm curious, what's your favorite fermented food in Poland? Question 15 comes from a French person. Do Japanese people appreciate wine like the French do? In France, wine is part of our everyday meals. Is wine commonly paired with Japanese food? Wine is becoming more popular in Japan, and some people pair it with dishes like sushi or wagyu beef. What's your favorite wine pairing in France? Question 16 comes from our Malaysian. How do Japanese people celebrate festivals with food? In Malaysia, we have traditional foods like satay and rundown at festivals. What are the most prized festival foods in Japan? In Japan, popular festival foods include takoyaki, yakisoba, and candy apples. What's your favorite festival dish in Malaysia? Question 17 comes from Portuguese. Do Japanese people eat salted codfish dishes like we do? In Portugal, bacalhau is a traditional dish with many variations. Are there any similar fish dishes in Japan? In Japan, we use codfish in dishes like miso grilled kodo or shimmered dishes. I'd like to try bacalhau someday. What's the most popular variation? Question 18 comes from a Vietnamese person. Do Japanese people drink tea as much as we do in Vietnam? In Vietnam, tea is part of everyday life, especially iced tea. What's the most common way to drink tea in Japan? In Japan, green tea is the most common, and we often drink it hot, but we also enjoy it cold, especially during the summer. I'm curious, what's your favorite type of tea in Vietnam? Question 19 comes from an Australian. Do Japanese people have an equivalent to the OG meat pie? In Australia, meat pies are a staple snack. Do you have any savory pies or similar snacks in Japan? In Japan, we don't have anything like the OG meat pie, as rice-based dishes are more common than pastry. For example, we have onigiri, rice balls with fillings like salted salmon and curry bread, which is bread filled with curry. They are popular as quick meals or snacks, but quite different from meat pies. What do you love most about OG meat pies? Question 20 comes from a Greek. What do Japanese people think of olive oil? In Greece, olive oil is used in almost every dish. How common is it in Japanese cooking? Olive oil is becoming more popular in Japan, especially in Italian or Mediterranean-inspired dishes. Do you use olive oil in desserts in Greece? Question 21 comes from a Canadian. How do Japanese people enjoy winter sports like skiing and snowboarding? In Canada, skiing is very popular in places like Whistler. What are the best ski resorts in Japan? Hokkaido and Nagano are famous for their ski resorts with powder snow that attracts many international visitors. I'm curious, have you been to Whistler? Question 22 comes from an Indian. How do Japanese people celebrate Diwali, or do you have a similar festival? In India, Diwali is the festival of lights filled with decorations and sweets. Do you have a festival that brings families together in Japan? In Japan, the New Year is a time when families come together with traditional decorations and meals. Diwali sounds beautiful. What's your favorite part of it? Question 23 comes from South Africa. Do Japanese people have a unique way of enjoying wildlife? In South Africa, safaris are a big part of our culture. What's the most common way to experience nature in Japan? In Japan, we enjoy nature by hiking, visiting national parks, or observing wildlife like cranes in Hokkaido. Safaris sounds amazing. What's the most memorable animal encounter you've had? Question 25 comes from an Argentinian. How do Japanese people enjoy meat dishes like we do with asado? In Argentina, asado is a big part of our culture, often shared with friends and family. How do you enjoy meat dishes in Japan? In Japan, yakiniku is very popular, where you grill small portions of meat at the table. Asado sounds delicious. What's the most important part of preparing it? Question 26 comes from a Swiss person. Do Japanese people enjoy cheese dishes like fondue? In Switzerland, cheese fondue is a traditional dish we often share. Are there any similar shared dishes in Japan? In Japan, we often share dishes like hot pot, where everyone cooks and eats together at the table. I'd like to try Swiss fondue someday. What's the best cheese to use? Question 27 comes from a South Korean. How popular is Korean pop culture, like K-pop and K-dramas in Japan? In Korea, Japanese anime and manga are very popular. What's the most well-known Korean drama or music group in Japan? K-pop and K-dramas are incredibly popular in Japan, especially groups like BTS or dramas like Crash Landing on You. I'm curious which Japanese anime is most popular in Korea. Question 28 comes from a Brazilian. Do Japanese people enjoy Brazilian cuisine like feijoada or churrasco? In Brazil, food is a big part of social gatherings. Are there any Japanese dishes that bring people together? In Japan, dishes like sushi or hot pot are often shared at the gatherings. I'd like to try churrasco someday. What's the best meal for it? Question 29 comes from an Egyptian. What do Japanese people think about pyramids or ancient Egyptian culture? In Egypt, we are proud of our ancient history. Are there similar historical landmarks in Japan? In Japan, we have ancient landmarks like Kyoto's temples and Nara's Great Buddha. Pyramids are fascinating. What's the most interesting fact about them? Question 30 comes from a New Zealander. How do Japanese people enjoy nature like we do with hiking or beaches? In New Zealand, we love exploring the mountains and beaches. What's the most popular way to enjoy nature in Japan? In Japan, we enjoy nature through hanami, cherry blossom viewing, hiking, and relaxing in hot springs. I'd like to visit New Zealand beaches someday. What's your favorite spot? Here are all the questions from different countries. I'm sorry if some parts were unclear or lacked explanation. I'll keep working on improving my English. Now, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. By the way, I was lucky enough to capture some swans flying in the background, so be sure to check that out as well. Thank you for watching. And if you'd like, I'd like to hear about your country's culture in the comments. Thank you for watching. Now, I'll answer the forgotten question 24. Question 24 comes from an American. What's a common misconception foreigners have about Japanese people? Some Americans think Japanese people are very reserved and always hiding their true feelings because they've heard about concepts like honne and tatemae. This idea might come from movies, TV shows, or casual observations, but I wonder how true is this perception? It's a common misconception that Japanese people are always hiding their true feelings. While it's true that tatemae is used in more formal or distant relationships to maintain harmony, Japanese people are very genuine with those they are close to. Once trust is built, they openly share their honne just like anyone else. So this idea isn't completely wrong, but it doesn't show the whole picture. This truly marks the end of the Q&A session. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end. It really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed learning a bit more about Japanese culture and found some of the answers interesting. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts or tell me about your own culture in the comments below. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.